Go.
Hi, this is a tilling board. What I want to try to explain now is what a tilling board is and what it's used for and how we use it in the construction of bows. Basically, as you can see, it's a gridded background with numbers on it, and we'll be placing the bow up here. Usually there's a clamp. I use blocks to secure the bow in there, and then we'll be flexing it to see how the limbs bend and if they bend in unison and where they bend, and therefore we will know if we need to remove material from any given part of the limb so that we can get a uniform bend in the limb. Usually when you're tillering a bow for the first time, after you've brought it to the dimensions that you want to, you put a string on it that is much longer than the one here, so that when the bow is in place, you can begin drawing it from a zero draw, so there's no tension in the limb. And make sure that you work the limb from the beginning. This bow is already strung, so it's already been worked to this position, so it's not detrimental to have this short string on here. We'll go ahead and put this one up there and flex it so that we can look at the limbs and see if they're bending correctly. This tillering board has a pulley system, and so that I can stand back and pull the rope. It's got a hook here, so that'll hook onto the string. Let me go ahead and put that in there. Get this bow up here. So basically, when we're pulling on the string, by looking at the grid, you can, it's a reference, use the numbered squares as a reference for seeing if one limb is bending more than the other. So you can look at one side and then go over and see where the limb lies in the same grid. Let's say the intersection of 10 and 1 over here, and then you go to 10 and 1 over here and see where the limb lies. And you do that throughout the entire limb. So here we'll go ahead and put the string, and then come back and I'll flex the bow. And we'll begin to see how the limbs are bending. This bow is bending more on the left side towards the handle, which I don't like. I like the way the upper limb is bending more.
Can you point that out? And I'll hold that.
Here you go. So for what I want to see in this bow, I want to see it bending a little less in here. In the beginning of the draw, it begins to bend here, whereas this one is bending more evenly throughout the limb. So this bow is, I would be taking probably a little bit off the entire limb here to even out the bend that is happening here with this limb, and then working on the end over here.
And I can see that the tips are at different spots.
Yes, this one is bending too much. This tip is above the four line.
Right.
This one is below it. So this one is too weak. So we don't want to take anything off that limb. What we need to do now is to remove material from this limb and bring it closer to this one.
Okay.
And you keep working it back and forth and trying to get an even bend in both limbs so that they bend simultaneously and evenly in unison.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we use a tillering board. And we put another bow up there that is in, I think, more of a fine tillered, been tillered a little bit more. This one here still needs to be worked on. Get this out.
And you're putting the blocks in there to keep the bow flat and in
You want to
place?
get the handle section here straight with this, even with this line here.
Oh, okay.
So that you don't start off cockeyed from the beginning. So you get this straight, and then work the limbs down from there. This bow doesn't have a tillering string on it. It has its actual bow string because it's also been tillered to a point where it's not dangerous to draw this bow. build a clamp system so that I don't have to do this. Well, I believe that's the piece I had in there. Anyways, we can go ahead and draw on this one. You might be able to see the tiller, how it works. Let's try to get it even to begin with. Put a little tension on the rope. Begin drawing that. Flex it up and down. And the limb should be drawing in a much more even manner. I need a clamp up here to hold this in place, which I haven't put yet. Anyways, I don't know if you can see that.
And so what we're seeing is that this one is closer to an even tiller.
Yeah, it's drawing more in unison. The other one limb was bending a lot more than the limb on this side was bending more than that one. So therefore, we needed to weaken this limb and then tune them in together. This one is a lot closer in tiller, at least from this vantage, and closer to being finished. This rope has a handle on the end of it to be able to stand back. The further you can stand back, sometimes the easier it is to see how the bow is responding to the flex. So I stand back and pull on this, or wherever you need to be able to get a good view of your bow flex.
Go ahead and pull on it.
So this stick here that comes down, it's a tillering stick. It's built into my whole tillering board. These notches are at 1.5 inch increments or so, and you can just put it in a stationary spot like that, and stand back and look at it and see how it's how the limbs are coming along. Also, I like the pulley for the movement because I can see how the limbs bend, when they bend, where they bend. This is a little bit more difficult because the bow can be tillered, but the way it comes to tiller can differ. So I like to get them doing it in the exact same manner, both limbs.